Well, Tom Reynolds gave a great perspective from a very large company. Now we're going down in size to a medium-sized corporation, and then we'll close with a small enterprise. I'd like to take this time to introduce Jose Amarista. His bio, again, is in front of you. I'll just note that he is a product of our executive MBA program here, which we're proud to say. He comes from a very dynamic, innovative company, Cadbury Schweppes, which is really keeps a low profile. However, they are in our backyard, and I think we're all looking forward to see what innovations come from that company, as well as some of the cultural dimensions that Jose will elaborate on. Jose Amarista.
Good morning, everyone. Just had a question for Tom, but I wanted to keep it save it for now. Will chewing gum qualify as a moderate exercise for staying young? Then you can start right now. You have your samples on your table, so start now.
Burn calories.
Oh, you do burn calories, yes. So that's a business opportunity right there. That's innovation right there. So successful innovation in confectionery, like as Jim mentioned, this is a totally different business. I guess the fundamental difference is what drives consumers to consumer products. So clearly, I mean, we don't have to push too much for that to happen. The agenda for my presentation, quick company overview, so everybody knows what Cadbury Schweppes does and where it comes from, etc. A few definitions. I wasn't sure how many people in R&D we have here. I know you're in R&D. How many people in R&D? I know you're in R&D too. Yeah, excellent. How many people in marketing? Okay, very good. So those definitions, I think, will help introduce how we do innovation in confectionery, how to select the right projects, very important, and then a few case studies from our success stories from our company. Cadbury Schweppes is we're the largest confectionery company in the world right now, with a 10% share. Cadbury Schweppes evolved from being an UK-based or UK Commonwealth-based company to a global company. Part of that was due to a recent acquisition of which I witnessed, and I went through that, the Adams business from Pfizer. So there was a clear synergy, because Cadbury had a strong presence in the former Commonwealth, and Adams had a strong presence everywhere else. So there was a clear synergy there. So that was actually good. It helped Cadbury expand globally. So this is in New York and London. Market cap of 20 billion, that was in 2005. And the important thing, we're in a growing mode. We're growing, profitable growing mode, which is a good place to be. Next, net sales is in British pounds. We're a British company. Everything is in pounds. 60% of the business is in confectionery, 40% in beverages. We also have very well-known brands in beverages, Dr. Pepper, etc. The revenue growth, 4%. The important thing about that is that if you look at the next line, out of that 4%, 10% came from just chewing gum, and 23% from the Trident brand, which you're chewing right now. So that's remarkable. That's important. That's a key headline here. The other important headline here is emerging markets accounted for 10%, and grew 10%, sorry, in 2006. That's remarkable too. So we're heavily investing in innovation. We have 650 people globally in the function. We call it S&T, R&D. We call it Science and Technology, S&T. We have 4 technical centers. One, like Jim mentioned, just up the road from here in Whippany on Route 10. We have a technical center in the University of Reading in the UK. We recently opened a technical center in Singapore, which is remarkable. We have a technical center developing chewing gum in Singapore, but And we have another technical center in Lille in France. Lille is outside Paris. Innovation is a priority, and it's that what's driving growth in our company. And our, let's say, philosophy is to be focused on fewer, faster, bigger, better. So that's the big thing now in Cadbury. We call it F square, B square. Fewer, faster, bigger, better. The reason is obvious, is efficiency in if you think of our products, I mean, we're mass products, so we have to be efficient. We have to try to leverage worldwide. We have to try to focus one thing and reapply elsewhere. So we have plenty of examples. One is we launched Trident Splash. I don't know if you have seen the commercials on TV. Trident Splash was developed centrally and was expanded in 14 countries. And in the first year, it reached 100 million pounds, which is roughly $200 million. So those numbers are mind-blowing. That's a lot of gum to sell, $200 million. Have an history in innovation. I'm sure that a lot of people know and can relate to some of these brands. We have the first of a lot of things. We have the first sugarless gum in the market, Trident. We have the first gum with functional benefits, Trident again. We have the first center-filled bubble gum. We have the first of many things. So we have clearly an innovation edge in the market. We have long-established brands, like I mentioned. Global presence. We have a quite balanced presence in the world. We have two separate divisions in the Americas, confectionery, which is essentially Adams, and the Americas beverages, which includes Mexico and the U.S. Like I mentioned, those brands that you all know, 7-Up, Dr. Pepper, Snapple, Mott's, etc. All those brands are part of the Americas beverages. On the Americas confectionery, that's a group that we belong to. We have Trident, Dentina Ice, Halls. Those are probably our most well-known brands. We have also Stride that you have in your tables. That's our newest innovation. And we'll talk about that later. Very important, local heroes. I mean, the emerging markets represent a significant portion of not only of our sales, but also our focus and effort. In fact, I lead a group. I mean, my function is in Latin America. I have groups in Mexico, Brazil, and Colombia. But I also have a small group here that provides technical service for emerging markets. So that's an important focus, and that requires a different mindset because developing products, and if you notice, these are all single pieces and different products. And so developing products that are accessible to everybody and are affordable is a challenge, but that's also a focal point for our company. So that's an important piece of what we do. So to that point, I mean, and that always actually pays off because we had a 10% of our growth came from emerging markets. Questions so far? Cadbury Schweppes, we're had presence, globally world presence. We're in a growing mode. We're an innovative company. Innovation is a part of our core priorities. Few definitions. Tom covered this. I will only add to that innovation has to be valued by community. It has to be valuable, otherwise it's not innovation, and we'll see a couple of examples where that doesn't happen. And innovation is about a process. It's not something that you just occurs to you and then it has to be consumer driven. It has to be consumer relevant to be successful. Some successful innovations that have been similar to the ones that we are very original on that. We didn't talk about this.
We think alike.
Yeah, right. So that's important. The thing is, there's no limit to how you can innovate. And contrary to what people tell you, don't reinvent the wheel. If you're in the business of reinventing the wheel, you should. And there's an example here. That's why I have this slide here. Michelin actually reinvented or tried to reinvent the wheel. I don't know when this will be in the market, but this is a totally different wheel. Has no air for one, so you never get a flat. Probably can break it, but you will never get a flat. That's the way it looks. But not all innovations are successful. So I found this in the patent web pages. The first one is a machine to simulate a high five. The second one is a method of exercising a cat with a laser beam. And the third one is a greenhouse helmet. So who needs those? I don't know. What was the drive? So not all innovations are guaranteed to be successful. They have to be consumer relevant, and they need to have some specific applicability. Specifically, I mean, they have to come from the market. So this product development cycle, I mean, the market generates consumer needs. These consumer needs may come from consumers, but it may be created by a new technology breakthrough. So if you have something new and different, you create a need. There's plenty of examples of that. I mean, washing machines, dishwashers, CDs, the iPod. I mean, that nobody was specifically asking for it, but there was a technology, there was an opportunity to provide portable private places, which is in the essence of that. I mean, that when they launched the Walkman in Japan, one of the key focus for the developers was to provide, I don't know if you have seen, even in movies or whatever, how the subway trains work in Tokyo. They're packed with people. They have people whose job is just to push people inside the trains. That's how packed they are. So if you're in that situation and you commute for 1 hour in those trains, you will go crazy very quickly. So one solution that Walkman brought to consumers is that provides you with your own private place. So when you're in that crowded train, you still have you're listening to your music or whatever you want to listen to. So that's kind of the concept. So you have the technology. You can quickly find an application to that, and you immediately create a need. That's important. Trends, of course, generate needs. There's new trends. I mean, I have 2 daughters. The oldest daughter is 4 years old, and she already has her own needs based on trends. I don't think I need to explain that any further, but that's clear. I mean, that new trends generate needs immediately. So then we get into the product development cycle. I'll talk about these IFDL, DCL, what they mean. That's the stages and gates process. Then we launch the product, goes into the market. The products in the market, I mean, after a while, they become obsolete, or people, get bored of them, tired, whatever, so they need to be renovated. That generates the need, and that's how the cycle starts. So that's how we make, or we get a feel for how innovation can be relevant to consumers. That's how we know we have to refer to the market and the consumers. Consumer product fundamentals. Consumer product has 3 key elements: concept, product, and formula, and package. The concept, again, is a statement of what the product does. I mean, what need it is addressing or what benefit it's providing. That's important because the concept is what makes consumers believe. That's what makes the Reach toothbrush sell at a premium price, and people will still buy it. And people buy it over the generic brand. When you go to the CVS, you have like 1,000 of them, but you go to the Reach because that's promising you something that the others don't promise. Formula, or in the case of any other product, components, ingredients, etc., are ingredients, components combined by a process that's an essential part also of a product. The process, how you make it, is essential to the product, that deliver the benefit and include the active ingredients or the active components that fulfill the concept. That's very important. If the product doesn't fulfill the concept, the first time you try the product, it's dead. And package is very important, extremely important, because the package is not only a vehicle to get the product to the consumer, it also plays an important role when the product is displayed in the store or the point of purchase. That's an essential element, and we'll see later how important it is in connecting consumer emotionally with our product. Consumer moments of truth. This is a model developed by Mr. Lafley, the P&G CEO. He said, well, enough with this theory. Let's go to the market and see analyze the phenomenon of how consumers or how shoppers become consumers. And I was talking about that earlier, that, I mean, I don't need to, I think, explain too much how much, I mean, of shopping. Well, my wife does a lot of shopping, and she finally buys. But so turning that you know, browsing around into buying something specific takes a few hours, depending on the item, specific item. So capturing that and analyzing that phenomenon, what drives consumers to choose one product over the other, is very important. It's a very important element in analyzing consumer behavior. So the first one is when consumers are faced with a product in the store and they have to make a decision, they have to buy one over the other. So there's a reaction to a product on the shelf, so that's driven by packaging, that's driven by what you do in the store advertising. So the enablers for that is an emotional engagement in general. So you need to engage consumer with your product. There has to be something in the shelf and itself. Can come also from advertising. In the advertising, you basically, you know, throw the message that your product does A, B, C, and the others don't. And then when consumer, and we as consumers know that, or shoppers know that, we get to the store and we remember, oh, this is a product that says A, B, C. So that's in your mind. So there's a certain engagement already in your mind to that purpose. Product display, of course, is important. In-store advertising and communicating news, and I mean, saying that, well, if you put like new, when you do something to your product, you have to advertise it in the store, because a lot of people don't watch TV or don't get to see the commercials. So the only advertising they see is the one you do in the store. So that's important. So this is an important enabler. Second moment of truth is after consumers try the product. So they try the product, then what's important here is the ingredients, and the product has to deliver upon the concept and all the advertising that promised, you know, ABC. So if the product doesn't deliver, consumers will probably be disappointed and won't try the product again. So concept fulfillment is paramount for the second moment of truth. And product quality, very important. Consistent product quality. If your quality declines, you'll probably have 1, 2 repurchases, and that's it. Then consumers immediately notice that your product changed, and they won't buy it again. There's a third moment of truth. These are the original 2. There's a third moment of truth, and this is coming out in the internet right now. The third moment of truth is after consumers chose a product, tried the product, you know, had a reaction to it, and it's about letting consumers talk about the experience. That's very important, because creating that channel, creating the communication channel with consumers provides you with very useful insight, very relevant information about your product, so you will know why your consumers like or dislike your product, very specifically, very emotionally. And so these customer service lines are important. Nowadays with the internet, it's very easy to open up for consumers to provide insight. So the enabler is opening the communication pipeline. There's one company, General Mills, recently opened their website to inventors. So inventors can provide inventions or ideas, you know, more like patents that could be applicable to their products. So that's probably taken this to the next level, basically. So how would you do this in confectionery? What are the important elements? And I'm centered around gums. First of all, we have to intersect our technologies, and believe me, there's a lot of technology in chewing gum, believe it or not. So the products you're testing right now have a lot of technology behind them. In the past, formulations were very simple. There were very limited choices of products, and there was very limited consumer insight. We knew very little about consumers. We just threw the products in the market, and we had very basic, you know, ways to ask consumers what they thought about our products. That has evolved. Our formulations are a lot more complex. There's a lot more restrictions, regulations, etc. A lot of ingredients that were allowed 20 years ago are not allowed today, so we had to develop substitutes for that. We have allergens, we have genetically modified materials that cannot be used in certain markets. So things are far more complex now. So developing products right now, I mean, consumers, the market are becoming more demanding. So that also demands, in turn, that we do things a little different and put more science behind them. So what that translates into is that it requires different facets of innovation. It's not just changing the color in the package. It's not just launching a new flavor. It takes a lot more than that. So we need to go deeper to the fundamentals, develop new concepts, develop things that deliver those concepts. So it's a little more complicated than that. Examples of this, we have font formats, and again, looks simple, but one thing to bear in mind here is that confectionery products are an engineer's nightmare. They're very small piece sizes, and the machines work at extremely high speeds. So an engineer will be like, oh, I don't want that, because the efficiencies are very high. Our cost structures are very tight also. So in a couple of points in percent of efficiency in my lines could be, you know, the life or death for the product. So that's important. So coming up with new formats is a challenge. It's not trivial at all. Developing functional benefits is a big piece of that. We have products with functional benefits. That product you're trying in your table, we'll talk about that later, has functional benefits clinically proven. Flavors, of course, and formulation. So not only flavor, new flavors, also flavor extensions, flavor combinations, flavor sensations, cooling, warming, etc. Different sensations. That it goes beyond just the flavor character itself. And finally, packaging. Packaging is an important piece. Again, it's not only has the function of protecting the product and delivering that to consumers, it also has a display function, very important, and it has to be a product advocate, a concept advocate. What makes a great tasting gum? And I think you have Stride in your tables, so you tell me if you like it or not. And also makes you younger, so makes you feel younger.
Then we really like it.
There's different elements in a gum. We have gum base. Gum base is the component that remains in your mouth after you chew for, say, 5 minutes. That's a gum base. That's another challenge. I mean, gum, you don't swallow gum, so all the benefits have to come out of that piece that just still remains in your mouth. That piece that remains in your mouth after the sweeteners are gone has to deliver flavor, sweetness, etc. That's the challenge in itself. Categorizing flavors, I mean, it's arguable whether flavor is a point of distinction in a product, because flavor houses sell flavors to our competitors too. So how we combine that, how we add the unique touch to our products is also a challenge, and it's also a point of differentiation. That we were discussing earlier that one way to what drives consumers to buy our products over other products, besides the concept, when we go past the first moment of truth, is basically that character liking. That's very specific to our products, different to competitors. That's a challenge too. So technologies to deliver flavor and sweetness over periods of time is also a challenge. Entails technology, entails processing technologies to deliver the actives for that to happen. And finally, the modifying texture is also one other piece of challenging effect. In the case of Stride, we're targeting consumers that chew gum for a long periods of time. So when you chew gum, the reason why you stop chewing gum is because there's no flavor, or because the texture becomes really, So we address that. So you can chew Stride for a long period of time, and it will still have flavor, sweetness, and the texture will be still pleasant. I think I mentioned this briefly, but why is it difficult? People will say, well, what's big about, what's the deal with chewing gum? Why do you need so much technology? Well, I think I mentioned a couple of challenges. One is that the piece size and the volumes of production we sell are so big that makes a challenge in itself. Our formulations are complex, have many individual ingredients. Any given gum formulation has 12, 15 components all together, and you break down the specific components, that's even more. So that's challenging. Getting long-lasting flavor. I mean, we have the equivalent, in one piece of gum, we have equivalent of several scoops of sugar. Of course, not the calories, but the sweetening power. So you're safe. Keep chewing. So packing that together in a small space, that's also a challenge. And like I mentioned, combining everything together and scaling up in the volumes and the speeds that we work with is a challenge also. So, summary, market success depends on, number one, focus on the basics, like I mentioned, your concept, your product had to be, and package had to be linked, had to be consistent, had to be interdependent. That's very important, that's crucial. Second is the right product for the right channel. This is not a subject for a different presentation. I mean, that's a whole issue in itself. I mean, we were discussing earlier several cases where we have products, we had the right products in the wrong channel, it didn't go through, or we had the wrong product in the right channel. That also doesn't work. Product performance, like I mentioned, to get consumers past the first moment of truth, the product has to deliver and keeps consumers coming back. And selecting the right projects, which is the next, how we select the right projects. Very briefly, there's the funnel approach where we have the fuzzy front end with new technologies, all this information that comes from different sources, from consumers, from technologies, etc. So we have to sort of get a logical array and put that in the form of a project. That's also challenging. So and requires dedicated teams. That requires multifunctional teams. Not only S&T or R&D that does that, or marketing. You need input from all the functions, legal, regulatory, etc. Maybe you have the brightest idea, but it's not approved by it's not FDA approved. You can't do it. So, portfolio management process. When we get that bank of ideas, how we select the right ones. So we go to the idea phase where we scope the idea, make sure that it makes sense, it fits our strategy, and it makes sense for the consumer, our consumer segments, etc. Go into the feasibility phase where we test the concept and we get a feel for whether it is relevant or not, or whether it's going to really result in incremental business. We prepare the business case. Up to this point, we haven't prepared a prototype yet. Up to this point, if we have the right, so we define what hurdles the product has to clear, and then we move forward, and then we'll go to the development phase, where we develop the prototypes, we test them with consumers, then we see if we match or we clear the hurdles that we thought the product had to clear. Finally, we scale up. So we test and validate. So everything that was true on a small scale has to happen also at a large scale. So we have to confirm that the product, the scale-up product, still meets the same parameters that the benchtop product. And finally, we launch the product. We do full commercialization. We fill the pipeline in the market, and then we do product checks in the market to make sure that the product is actually delivering. We had a small-scale consumer test, and we extrapolated those results to the market, so we need to make sure that that still stands in the market. So basically, as we move forward, there's money spending increases, but the uncertainty decreases. Okay, so I'm speeding up because there's a buzzer here that's telling me that I'm over the time. Bubblicious Burst, the first case. It's a product that where we partnered with the packaging supplier. We capitalized on Bubbaloo, which is a very successful brand in Latin America. We sell close to $300 million worldwide, out of which a significant portion comes from Latin America. So we said, well, we'll launch this product in the US under the Bubblicious brand. The issue was packaging. In Latin America, we sell single pieces. In the US, single pieces don't really have an outlet. So we had to develop a different package, so we partnered with the equipment vendor. We developed the right product. We launched it on the right price point. And the center field enhanced the value perception, so it was a win-win, one of those low-hanging fruits that we don't usually get that often. Try Nexacar in Mexico. We launched this product capitalizing on two proprietary technologies. One is whitening, teeth whitening. Second one is recaldent. It's a proprietary ingredient, active ingredient that remularizes, that has several benefits associated to it. So we capitalized on that. We got endorsement from the Mexican Dental Association. These products sells over $40 million in Mexico. The blister pack enhances value perception, looks like a drug. So that enhances value perception. And we have effective communication that unfortunately I couldn't show the commercials, but in Mexico we have one well-known actress sponsoring the product and saying that it worked for her, so it worked for anyone. So we communicate very strongly the benefit, the reason why, and we make it believable to consumers. So again, the proprietary clinically proven technologies. We have the whitening based on sodium stearate. We have several patents. IP is crucial in confectionery to compete in confectionery. So intellectual property protection is paramount to have a competitive edge, because otherwise, there's a lot of copycats immediately. But if you have proprietary technologies, you're covered. Remineralization is based on recaldent, like I mentioned. That's in the product you're trying in your tables. Remineralizes teeth, so it's good for your teeth. It has other properties that are clinically proven. We're in a multi-year caries trial in Australia, proving that we can reduce caries by using recaldent. Also, teeth after a while are acid resistant. That's also an important benefit. And finally, there's a plaque retention benefit out of this. So this is like the Lipitor of chewing gums, to put it in known terms. Case 3 Stride, where we're addressing a different thing. And again, I mentioned, we're addressing the issue of how we make consumers chew gum longer, or we capture those consumers who really like to chew gum for longer periods of time. So we have to, one, make it, deliver the concept. Two, deliver the right product for that concept. And three, have a consistent communication that is appealing to consumers. So I think we got those three elements in this product. Unfortunately, the commercials, if we can show them later, I will show them. We have a position that is called ridiculously long-lasting gum. So the commercials, in the commercials, you have the Stride team talking about the success and celebrating the success of a product, and through a window you can see the factory. So one guy says, well, whoever in accounting says that if a gum lasts so long, we will be selling less product. Oh, well, and then through the window you can see that the factory actually stops because they stop selling product because the product lasts too long. So that's the message. So a humorous way to convey the message that the product actually lasts, or delivers upon the concept. So there's effective communication. The POP material also, creating these engagements. So there's many of these banners, posters. There's a few that I have over there. So choose your flavor wisely, because it will be with you for a while, so it better be good. So that type of thing. So there's a lot of reiterations of the same message. This is a product that lasts too long, so there's something like my aching jaw or something like that. So things of that sort. And the last element here is we open these communication channels for consumers. There's a full interactive web page, and we ask consumers to provide input to interact with the product. They can actually interact with the characters from the commercials. So it's a fun page. If we have the time, Stride, www.stridegum.com. And in conclusion, invest wisely, innovate smartly, and execute with excellence. That's the message. That's it. Questions?
How do you reconcile bigger, faster, better with market peculiarities in specific country cultures?
Question is how we reconcile fewer, faster, bigger, better with market differences across the globe. Well, it's again, challenging, but possible. I mean, there's ways to let's say, I'll call tropicalize products that generate from the US. I think one of the examples that I show, how we took a product from Latin America and were able to tailor it for the American market, changing the piece size, changing some I would say, not very crucial elements, but that keep the essence of a product, still been, as long as we keep the principles that there's a compelling concept and there's a product that delivers upon that compelling concept, I think that's the key. Those are the fundamentals to guarantee that we can tailor the product to the market. Thank you.
Jose, how do you, in your innovation, how do you use like threading and linking, or what I call repurposing? Look outside the industry to find ways to make your products more innovative.
Well, excellent question. I was thinking, I used to lead the gum-based development group how we incorporate threading and incorporating external knowledge into our products. So I used to lead the gum-based group, and gum-based is a combination of different polymers, etc. And technologies are not developed for chewing gum. Technologies are developed for, in the polymer industry, they're developed for the high volume markets, the high volume products. So we partnered with our suppliers who are, and they see what they have in their pipeline and try to adapt what's been developed for engine oils, for instance, interactions of, one good example, engine oils, the engineered oils for engines, they actually have close to 26 components. And the reason why they had 26 components is because it all started, they tried to keep the viscosity at high temperatures. For that, they added a polymer. To keep that polymer stable, they added a modifier. To keep that modifier from oxidizing, they added other things. So they ended up with 28 components that are all essential for the engineered oil. So learning why those interactions was crucial for us to achieve delivering flavor, for instance, or achieving texture modifiers, or even developing analytical methods to characterize our products. So we a lot of analytical methods that come from other industries. They're not developed for chewing gum. Did I answer your question? Very good. Have over here.
Yes, can you briefly describe the process of how you came up with the color name Stride?
The question is if I can describe the process, how we came up with the clever name of Stride. There were several names. In fact, I'm not sure if I can reveal the code name of a project at this point, but it was a funny name. I don't think I can.
Okay, all right, that's all right.
Anyway, the way these processes happen, they're all consumer-based. So we do extensive qualitative research, focus groups, etc. So we ask consumers. There's a combination. There's some creative process from advertising agencies, our marketing staff. So we come up with options, and then we basically ask consumers which one they like, which one connects better with the concept, etc. So it's a process. Starts with a think tank with the agency, the multi-function team, and in the end, the message goes down to consumers, and we ask consumers.
3 months?
Oh, how long it takes?
Yeah.
Well, in the case of Stride, I'm not sure, Marianne. Do you know?
8 months. Yeah. Hey, there's a lot of going back and forth with brainstorming.
Yeah, there's things to consider there. Trademarks, for instance, is one. I mean, a lot of companies register trademarks, but they never use them. So we have to check that it's not being used. We have to check it's not being used globally, because when we expand globally, then we have problems, and we have to rename the product in a different market.
How long does the process take from the idea generation stage to the launch?
Very good. How long does the entire process takes from idea to launch? The answer, I hate the answer, but depends. But there's a range of complexity that is linked to the length of a process. I will say that a simple project will be 6 months, If you need to develop technology, etc., I would say you're talking about 18 to 24 months, that range.
This isn't really a question, it's more of an observation. I have a 16-year-old, and I assume that you target certain age groups with gums. And she's a big gum chewer.
And she will stay young for that, right?
Once you get the job, ultimately.
But in that age group, one thing she was a competitor of yours, but she's a collector. So she collects the 7 or 8 different flavors, whether she likes all of them or not, because it's a collection. So she always gets the newest one. And I would think that in marketing some of these things, if you build some connection within this collection, which your competitor doesn't do, it's just the same different flavors and different color packaging. But there are lots of teenage kids who are, the Beanie Baby craze, who are collectors and will collect the whole range. And she keeps those, even those that she doesn't like, replenished.
So your question is, so the question is, do we target those?
Yeah.
Well,
Or do you use that as a...
we cap it. Absolutely. There's an insight, a consumer insight associated to that practice, let's say, of collecting. So we capture that, and we try to relate that and build the part of the emotion. There's one component of the concept that is not let's say, necessarily, how can I say, formal or it's just emotional. So that's in the positioning. So probably some elements in the ridiculously long-lasting gum capture some of these, way of seeing life. So we do capture the different aspects.
I just have a question relative to innovations around environmentally friendly gum. Is anybody thinking through and working on a gum that dissolves or doesn't create the problems that you often see on trees?
Possibly. The question is, are we developing gum to address the environmentally friendly gum? And the answer is possibly. Well, the answer, there's a few applications on developing things that are environmentally friendly. The thing is that the definition of environmentally friendly is a little, because you can have, like, for instance, biodegradable gum, but biodegradation takes so long that it ends up being the same problem. So the solution to the problem may take different avenues, but the answer is yes, we're working on that. Yes?
I was curious, are there ethnic formulations of different chewing gum flavors, like a Chinese trident, things of that sort?
Question is, are there ethnic formulations that are specific, that are geography specific? The answer is absolutely. There's flavors. We're developing a product right now for India. The chewing gum market in India is relatively small relative to the size of the population. And we're finding that their flavor preferences are very unique and different. We have, for instance, I still remember that because we had to do consumer panels of a product from South Africa. The flavor was musk. And you won't believe the sensation you feel when you chew something that tastes like musk. So it's unique and different. And we had to find, just like people in the building, to do the internal panels, because nobody wanted to chew it. But the answer is absolutely. I was mentioning earlier that in Brazil, for instance, we have, there's a fruit that you don't find anywhere else called acai that has very specific properties and is very popular. It's not known anywhere else. So there's a whole flavor with acai, with that particular fruit. Yes?
I'm sure everybody is a target audience, but how do you segment them? What are your key target audiences?
There's different ways to do that. The question is how we segment consumers, and the answer is there's different ways to do that. There's one is based on consumption occasions, where people, what people do when they consume our product. What are they doing? They're studying, and The other big way to segment is whether do they usually buy the product. So there's different ways to segment, besides of course age and gender. I mean that's basic. But the broad strokes, let's say, are you know, consumption occasions is one, and say purchasing preference is another important one.
Is your items product driven or marketing driven? For instance, do you come up with a reason why you want a specific type of gum, or does your chemical engineers often come up with a gum and say, hey guys, guess what, this does this, can you sell it?
I think the question is, what drives product development in our case? Is it market driven or is it product driven? And I would say both. I would say in some cases, when you come up with a breakthrough, something new, a different way, like for instance, center fill products, we just tried, I mean, that's something that is unique and different. That's a breakthrough, so that will be, say, product driven. So we create the need and the benefit of having a center fill product over, you know, a product that is not center fill. So in that case, it will be product driven. In case, I would say most product improvements and most line extensions come from the market. So there's a new trend, so you definitely need to keep up with the trend, or there's a deficiency detected in the product. There's a deficiency, or there's no products with, I don't know, citrus flavor in the market, so then that comes from the market. But I think there's a balance between the two. I would say that most of innovation comes from market insights, and to a lesser degree, it comes from it's product driven, basically. Thank you very much.
Well, we've gone from saving lives to a luxury item that cures bad breath as well, from large to medium-sized corporation. Now we're going to jump over to a smaller type of company, an entrepreneurial company. Mark Gallant hails from Harvard, did his MBA there, and leveraged a 28-year career at Wall Street, leveraged that expertise and insight to bring innovation to a relatively staid industry, the foreign exchange area. So, Mark Gallant, it's all yours.
Jim? Oh, there we go. Thank you very much. I want to thank the Rothman Institute. I think it's phenomenal that they hold these type of series. I think this is great. It really takes the academic and puts it together with the practitioners. As a matter of fact, if I knew about it last year, I would have come because I love Clayton Christensen. He was the speaker last year. A lot of things that we did in terms of disruptive technology and disruptive innovation are going to be very practical to what he wrote about. And what I'm going to do first is explain our company and what we do. And by the way, I think a lot of you will be confused, so at the end of it, you feel free to ask questions. My mother still doesn't understand what we do for a living, and she's asked me 17 times, so it is a little confusing. It's not like gum or you know, hip replacements or artificial hearts. It's a little more confusing. That said, what is important is we are a hyper-growth company. Deloitte did a survey last year of the fastest tech companies in the US, and Google was 14th. And we were 9th. So we grew faster than Google over the last 5 years. And that was last year. In the past 12 months, in 2006, we had our fastest growing year ever, and we grew 92%. We've never grown less than 70% a year. So there are a lot of challenges and practical problems that you get when you're a hyper-growth company. I want to talk about those, and obviously, if you're growing at 70, 80, 90% a year, you have to be innovative or you can't keep up that kind of pace. So once again, I want to talk about entrepreneurship and how that is different than being innovative in a large company. I want to talk about how you grow that culture, and then over time, as the company goes from a small company of just a few people to 250 people like we are now, how you keep that culture alive. So our corporate history, we started in December of '99, which is back during the dot-com boom. We focused on, as opposed to most dot-commers, we focused on the bottom line. We wanted to make it a real company, and we broke even in '02. Basically, we've done 4 rounds of venture capital. And by the way, feel free to ask questions. I've left plenty of time at the end for questions, and you can ask during the speech as well. But I tend to be very controversial. A perfect example is I'm not a believer that venture capitalists add any value. They will tell you the exact opposite, that they add tons of value. I don't believe they do. So I think you'll find some of the things that I'm unwilling to talk about, even on camera, maybe it'd be interesting. But I think one of the watershed moments for us was the launch of the Forex.com brand. Once again, in Clayton Christensen's books, he talks about disruptive innovation, technology, and disruptive technology. And what he talks about is that the big companies only focus on the current needs of their clients. And what we did is we focused on the low end, which he talks a lot about, and clients and people that weren't even clients in this market at all at that time. Basically, if you look at the pyramid of this is foreign exchange, what we do is we trade foreign exchange. So if you were a speculator and you wanted to buy stocks and you wanted to make your own trading decisions, you go to E-Trade or you go to Ameritrade. And in the US, I think most people probably understand a little bit about stocks or a little enough to make trading decisions. In the US, people aren't very familiar with foreign exchange or Forex or currency trading. Those are the terms they use. And basically, so it is a little bit more unknown, but there are a lot of people, and actually worldwide, in Asia, they understand currencies better than they understand equities, and in Europe it's about 50-50. But if you wanted to speculate on the price of the pound versus the dollar, which by the way made 20-year highs just this morning, then you would come to us and you would open an account with Gain Capital or Forex.com, and you would basically do a trade where you speculated that the pound would go higher against the dollar, or yen against the dollar, or yen against the pound, or whatever you wanted to do. But in the beginning, go back 7-8 years ago, the top of the pyramid was dominated by the banks, and the entire industry was dominated by the banks. So this is a $2 trillion $2 trillion a day market. It's 35 times bigger than equity trading in the US. So this is just an absolutely huge market that most people in this room probably don't even know about. But the banks were making billions of dollars a year, and some of them were making billions of dollars a year just themselves, each individual bank. But basically, the only people who were playing from the outside the banks were the Fortune 1000s and the large hedge funds. When we first started the company, Gain Capital in '99, we focused right here in the mid-sized hedge funds, and really we didn't even go to the top, because at the top of this blue piece, where some of the banks were participating, it was still dominated by the banks. We wanted to not have any competition from the banks. We wanted to go after people that were underserved. It's a huge growth business. Hedge funds have been growing 100% in the last few years. Growth in the retail market has grown dramatically. And basically, it's a very high margin business, at least for us. The banks have a high infrastructure. They have their salesmen cost hundreds of thousands of dollars each a year to pay, and they can only handle a certain number of clients. What we did is we harnessed disruptive technology, which at the time was the internet, and 99.9% of our clients trade through the internet, to handle thousands and tens of thousands of traders who the banks wouldn't touch, certainly at that time with a 10-foot pole. We're talking about people that can open an account with us for as little as $250. And basically, in 1999, you had to be a large institution, like a J&J or, to trade with them. So basically, we went down the pyramid and started going after the smaller players. And when we launched Forex.com in 2004, we even, to some degree, abandoned the blue piece of this pyramid and went all the way down to the smallest of the retail traders. In terms of market positioning, in terms of our firm and our industry, and there's about 36 or so players in our industry, we are known as the highest end. We have the most professional management team, the most professional practices. From our perspective, we want to look and act like a bank, because at some point we feel, just like in Christensen's books, they'll eventually get into this market. Now, once again, they're late, and they're 7 years late, but firms like us have done a phenomenal job of adding value and making money in those 7 years. But sooner or later, our feeling is they're going to come in, and instead of being loose and cowboy-esque, we decided to behave like banks do, which means we do a lot of investor protection. But in terms of innovation, some of the things we did was we were the first to offer instantaneous execution from real-time streaming quotes, and most of you are saying, what does that mean? In the equity world, go back 10 years ago, when you wanted to buy a stock and you wanted to buy 100 shares of IBM, you click a button, and 2 minutes later, maybe something would pop up, or you go back and you check your account 2 minutes later. If you go back 10 years ago, it's probably 5 or 10 or 15 minutes later, but as time went on, it would be 2 minutes later. And now, if you're trading on the E-Trade or Ameritrade, you can usually buy a stock and see it a second or two later. What we did is we made it instantaneous, which is even tougher in foreign exchange because the prices in the foreign exchange markets are moving incredibly dramatically, incredibly quickly. And so if you saw a price, you could click on it and instantaneously get a fill. And we did this before any of the banks did. So the big banks, who once again were each making $1 billion a year, didn't even have this technology when we launched it in early 2000. All our technology is proprietary. We built it ourselves. We thought that as a cutting-edge tool that will keep us ahead of the rest of our competition going forward. And basically, we've been the high-end provider, and along those lines is making the fairest dealing practices for our clients. So what we talked about in the early days was gain capital. We still have gain capital. We still go after the large clients, the more sophisticated clients, the small hedge funds, but there's a limited number of those. There really aren't, there's thousands or tens of thousands of those type of clients. On the right side, Forex.com, and Forex, as I said, is the name that people use for this. Sort of like when you make a copy, you say, I'm making a Xerox. Forex is the term that people use when they're talking about currency trading. And what we did is went down all the way downstream to mass market. Perfect example is China. We have an office in China, is our fastest growing segment. There's billions of people in China, and the culture, in terms of speculative culture, is phenomenal. A perfect example is, for you who didn't know this, is that Macau is now bigger than Las Vegas. And Macau, just 5 years ago, was tiny. So there's more revenues in Macau than there are in Las Vegas. Perfect example is also that the average table bet in Las Vegas is $27. The average table bet in Macau is $75, yet they make 1/28th per capita what we do here in the States. So there's a voracious need for speculative activity in China, and that right now is one of our fastest growing areas. And once again, so if you split down our clients, you'll see that roughly 60% are retail. Those are these small clients that might open with $500, $1,000. And 40% of our volume is the institutional, these bigger clients. But if you look at the actual number of clients, 98% of our actual clients are retail, but they're only doing 60% of the volume because they trade much smaller amounts. And then we have direct and indirect clients. Direct clients are basically what you do. Feel free after this, go to Forex.com and open a demo account. And what you can do is you get all the information that we give you and all the trading platform for free. And the only difference between opening a real account and a demo account is the money is fictitious. We give you free news, we give free charting away, we give commentary away from our traders literally 20 times an hour telling our clients what's going on in the markets, literally on a minute-by-minute basis. There's a tremendous amount of things that we have to give away free. And once again, this was also a very innovative practice. Back in the old days, go back 10 years ago, if you wanted some sort of information from a brokerage firm, they would charge you $20 a month or whatever. It certainly wasn't the amount of information that we're giving away free, certainly wasn't readily available in either the foreign exchange world or the equity world. And right now, we're generating 25,000 leads a week from a company our size that are opening these demo accounts and trying out our product. The other 40% of our volume comes from the indirect channel, and that would be brokerage firms that are already trading equities or brokerage firms that are already trading, let's say, futures. And basically, we go to them and they offer foreign exchange or Forex to their client base, and the client of that firm probably doesn't even know that Gain is behind it. We just offer the technology and the trading and the risk management right through these indirect partners. And once again, that's 40% of our current business. If you look in the old days, and once again, we introduced Forex.com right here when the curve started really ramping up. In the old days, when we were going after the more sophisticated players, you can see the growth wasn't nearly as dramatic. As a matter of fact, if you go back to here, June of '02, our 10 largest clients were 75% of our business. So if we lost one or two clients, it was a huge and could be devastating to us. Kept me from sleeping well at night. Now, currently, our top 10 clients are roughly 12% of our volume. So it's really gone down dramatically. This is what it looks like. It's probably too far away from you guys to see, but these are the dealing buttons, and literally you just click once on that button, and you've bought 100,000 euro. You might have bought €1 million. If you're set up, you can buy 5 million euro against the dollar, and it's we've made it very easy to do. We have all sorts of charts, and once again, these are all free. We have news. We have commentary. This is commentary that our traders give to our clients, and there's a tremendous amount of information that if you just click all these buttons, you'll get. And once again, the most interesting thing about this is it's all free to our clients. And we don't charge any commissions whatsoever. So from a client perspective, you have free services, news, charting, and all that kind of stuff. You don't charge any commissions. And our spreads compared to the equity markets. In the equity markets, it's a penny wide. So if you're trying to buy some IBM and you're lucky, it'll be 1 penny wide. Our spreads are 3/100ths of a penny wide. So we're dealing on very, very tight spreads, 3/100ths of a penny wide. We don't charge commissions, and we give away a lot of free services. We'll talk about disruptive technology and disruptive innovation. If when I sit down and think about it today and say, my God, how are we going to make any money doing this? It's amazing. What we do have is volume. The old saying, you make it up in volume. Well, we make it up in volume. We do over $100 billion with a B a month in volume. So you can make really, really, really razor-thin margins if you do enough volume, and you can make some good money, and we have. Something that in terms of I think that will help the entrepreneurs here, and I think that it was very effective for us in terms of this growth rates. And once again, we're talking about making money. Besides growing at 70, 80, or 90% a year, every single year, we also have an EBITDA margin of 40%, which is high in sort of any industry. It's sort of Microsoft levels, but it's even rarer if you take a 40% EBITDA margin and couple it with growing 80 or 90% a year. That really takes you into sub half of 1% of the companies, or maybe sub 1/10 of 1% of the companies in the U.S. But I think what we've done that is operational efficiency through technology. Basically, what we've done is instead of throwing people at a problem, we try to solve the problem through technology. A perfect example is one of our competitors has 5 times the number of employees that we do, yet we bring in roughly 5 times the number of clients that they do a month. So theoretically, our workforce should be, if to be comparable to them, should be 25 times bigger than it is. But what we do is once again, we build technology that allows us to do the trading and the risk management without a lot of people. As a matter of fact, on day one, we had 8 traders in our company. That's all we had. We had probably 15 employees, and 8 of them were traders. 7.5 years later, we have 250 people in our company, and we still only have 8 traders. And that's because we've been able to build technology to handle those flows, and the flows are obviously thousands of times bigger than when we started. We have a customer support tool. Because we're so unique, and Forex is completely different than any other industry out there, we had to build our own customer support tool. But it has everything that the customer has ever done. His last 5 trades, his last 10 trades, his P&L for the last week, day, month, year, his spreads, his mother's maiden name, all his account data, his likes, dislikes, if he's ever been a problem. We built all that ourselves. End-to-end client acquisition. If you were to open a Ameritrade account or an E-Trade account today, it would probably, from the time you started to the time you actually could trade, probably take 2, 3, 4 days. This is how long it would take to open an E-Trade or an Ameritrade account. Well, our clients aren't that patient. Our clients are very hyperactive traders, and they want to do everything quickly, and that goes along with signing up. Basically, we've allowed now our clients, assuming there's no exception, to sign up in minutes. In other words, if you come to our website, they type all their information in, and now, once again, we're a regulated firm. Much like the SEC and the NSD, we're regulated by the CFTC and the NFA. So there's a lot of questions we have to ask them. There's a lot of checks. We have to do Social Security checks on them. We have to do OFAC checks. There's a number of checks that we have to do. We have to make sure that their name matches their address, all sorts of things. But what we've done, instead of having humans do that, which they do at most firms, we have our technology do it, and all these checks are done automatically as the person is signing up. So literally, we can sign up a client in minutes and do all the requisite checks that not only the CFTC and NFA would like, but our bankers, and one of my bankers is here right now from Chase, who, by the way, does a great job for us. I just want to put in a plug since he's here. All the same checks that they want to see, we can all do electronically. In terms of managed account administration and reporting, these hedge funds that we go after, generally a hedge fund needs a back office to process all their paperwork. And generally that's 3, 4, 5 guys, or they sub it out to someone in Bermuda usually. Well, in order to get clients, because we're competing with the banks, everyone knows Citibank and Goldman Sachs and those names. No one, certainly knew Gain Capital years ago. That said, we have now taken out full-page ads in Fortune, quarter-page ads in the Wall Street Journal, so we're getting to the size that we're getting recognized. But in order to get these people in the door, we do extra work for them, and it's free. We don't charge them any money whatsoever to do all this back-office operations, and once again, we can do that cost-efficiently because we built the technology to do it, and we're not throwing humans at it. We just give them the technology, and it does the work themselves. So what I'd like to do, actually, before I start and tell you about my background, is there any questions about sort of what we do? Because if I didn't understand what we do, I'm not sure I would get it. But is there any questions about what we do? Once again, we're a company that we're a market maker. We actually take risk. So if you wanted to buy dollar yen, I would actually sell it to you. And at that point, you'd be long, I'd be short. So we have risk, literally on every single trade. So we have to have a trading group, we have to have risk managers, we have to have salesmen to bring the people in the door, we have to have customer support. But what it is what we're trying to do is fill a niche that really wasn't there 7 years ago. The people who wanted to speculate in currencies couldn't do it before, and now we're letting them do it, and we're letting them do it as cost effectively as the banks do. When we first started, sorry, go ahead.
I gather that your customers are satisfied because they are growing at such a hyper rate. How does the customer satisfaction compare to those in equity trading?
In terms of the satisfaction with us and our platform, it's very high. We've talked to the clients before, and they like what we've done. We get emails all the time, thanking us for walking them through the platform, answering their questions. In general, though, any speculative trading is a little more difficult than just trading equities. And the big difference is that this is very short term. Most of our clients are in and out on the same day. And it's when you buy a stock and it goes down, it's now an investment. And if it goes down enough, it's an investment for your kids. But in our business, we give out a lot of leverage. We give out 100-to-1 leverage or 200-to-1 leverage, as much as 200-to-1 leverage to our clients. So, if you buy, let's say, British pound today, and you bought it at the high, and you levered up, you'd probably be out of that trade already, and you would have lost. So the thing is, some of them find it frustrating because it's hard to learn. But that said, there's a lot of people who've done phenomenally well. George Soros, broke the Bank of England and made $1 billion on one trade, is one example. Paul Tudor Jones, with Tudor Investment, $15 billion hedge fund, has invested in us, and he hasn't had a losing year in 20 years of trading, and he focuses on currencies as one of his biggest things. So the little guy sometimes finds it frustrating because it's harder to do because of the leverage. But in terms of what we give them, the tools, because what we care about is giving you the tools you need to hopefully make successful trades. And we spend a lot of time on education because we want our clients to make money. We want our clients to do well because, if you're getting all these clients in the door, you really want them to do well. In terms of the road to starting this company, basically, I was a floor trader. Well, actually, I'll give you the quick story. Basically, when I was undergrad, I got accepted to Harvard, and they said, but you have to go out and work for 2 years. And they don't even do that anymore, but they did it back then. So, I went to work and became a floor trader for a company. And I told my boss, the prospective boss, that I was going to go back to business school in 2 years. And he said, fine, not a problem. A year and a half later, I said, I'm just going to get ready to go back and just want to remind you. And he said, wait a minute, you can't go back. You're making way too much money. I just made you a partner in the firm. There's no way you can go back to school now. You got to be crazy to go back to school. And by the way, that's another trait I think of a lot of successful entrepreneurs is somewhere along the line, they've been called crazy several times in their career. This is just one of them. I literally was 23 years old and making ungodly amounts of money, more cash compensation than I make now, 20 years later, 26 years later. So the point is making ungodly amounts of money. He said, well, if you go back, then it's over. You're going to have to quit. You're not going to be a partner anymore. So that day, I literally went to the guy next to me in the pit, and I was a floor trader yelling and screaming, trading gold and silver and all the things on the New York Commodities Exchange, and said, do you want to back me? Do you want to give me some money to start, for me to start up trading on my own? I said, sure, I'll do it. So literally that day, I went back to the boss who said, you're going to have to leave, and said, I'm out of here, and that's when I became the self-employed floor trader. It turns out he was bluffing, but it was too late. I left and became self-employed, and then even, strangely enough, I still went back to business school, and all my friends around me would say, oh, by the way, I made $25,000 today, and you're reading 3 cases and going to class every day. It seemed a little strange at the time. After business school, I went back and actually still was a self-employed trader for a number of years, and then went to the banks and was a managing director 16 years ago at a bank, making a lot of money, but the point was it wasn't a good fit. I really didn't like it that much. It was way too political. It was much too bureaucratic. My wife said, you're much too nice a guy to be on Wall Street. And once again, I did another crazy thing, which was, and this time, this was in 94, I left Wall Street. Now, a lot of people left in the dot-com boom because, they could make billions of dollars, but in 94, very few people, were managing director level on Wall Street, making a ton of money, left to go be an entrepreneur. And I was the number 2 person at this little entrepreneurial financial technology firm that only had 12 people in it. So once again, and everyone at that point thought I was crazy as well to do that. But I was having a lot more fun. And I think, one piece of advice, and there's not as many young kids here as I thought, but certainly to the younger people, is that you have to have fun. You shouldn't worry about what your parents want you to do, or what your friends want you to do, or what's going to make you a lot of money. What you have to do is you have to have fun, because if you don't have fun every day going to work, you don't enjoy what you do, you're not going to be happy, and you're not going to make a lot of money. And my philosophy, and a lot of people I know, especially entrepreneurs, do what you like to do, and the rest of it will take care of itself. So I went and took a probably a 90% pay cut and went to work for a small financial firm. Basically, the industry in '99 was dominated by the big banks, and compared to the online equity trading, the Forex market was a real laggard in terms of technology, dealing practices, professionalism, ease of use. And basically, I thought we could do a better job. That's what I thought. I thought we could do a better job than what was out there. First offer, click and deal, first to be 1 second execution. Without going into what these orders are, very sophisticated orders that we gave our clients, and our banks that trade with us now every day, haven't offered these same orders to us, to the big clients, 5 years after we gave them to our clients. So talk about innovative. We were way ahead of the banks. We increased price transparency. When we first started, the spreads that these little customers were getting were like 100 pips wide or 150 points wide, and the bank clients, the big bank clients, were getting 3 pips wide. Well, what we do now is we give our clients 3 pips wide. So in just 7 years, what the big players at the big banks, the Soroses and the huge corporations, the width that they were getting is now what our client with $250 gets. Never stop evolving. When we bought Forex.com, we changed our direction again. We went from sophisticated traders all the way down, once again, down the curve like Christensen to small people that never had traded before, and we cut our transaction size to 1/10 of what it was before. And we launched these mini contracts, which are really very small. And for months, we were debating, should we do this? Should we tarnish our image? We have this image of being very sophisticated, having great technology, having some big, very sophisticated traders with us. But when Forex.com came about, we said, you know what we'll do? We'll go after the little guys in Forex.com, and we'll keep all our big, sophisticated players that gain capital, And basically, we launched these mini contracts, and now 80% of our business comes from them. We were a quick follower, and the advice here is you don't have to be first mover. It doesn't have to be your idea. You just have to do it better. Startup culture was flat hierarchy. It was myself, my managers, and the employees. We had no budgets. Risk-taking mentality. Most important was speed. You got to do everything quickly. You got to get it out. We got to get it into the client's hands. Today, I said we grow faster than Google. 250 people. Only one more layer of management. Myself, my managers underneath them, and the employees. It's a pretty flat organization, even with 250. The budgets are still fluid. I really, don't budget per se, and people have to ask their managers to spend money. Perfect example is last year we doubled our marketing from the year before, and halfway through the year we thought that we could get some more bang for the buck, and we doubled it again mid-year. So we quadrupled our marketing from the year before. That's where it's fluid. And basically, in the speeches that we give to our people, we have a run-and-gun mentality. So we still have it. Best practices, open door, keep asking for ideas, reward them on the spot when they have new ideas, and keeping the management team up to date. And then last best practices, is the last slide, is, I think most importantly, is allow for mistakes. But never punish anyone for making a mistake. You have to encourage people to take risk. So if they make a mistake, all you do is you point it out, you fix it, and you move on. You can't punish them. There can't be repercussions for making mistakes. Make everyone an owner. If you make everyone an owner, you give them all shares, they will think like an owner. They'll think about the bottom line. They'll say, that printer, if I was at my house, would I buy that printer for my office or not? They think like an owner if you give them shares. And once again, avoid dogma. Successful companies continually evolve. You have to keep your eye out for what's going on. You can't be afraid to try new things. And once again, not everything works. So you try some stuff, if it doesn't work, you try it, you move on, you fix it, but you can't wait around, you can't overanalyze opportunities. You have to jump on them and move. And I think that's why the speed is the reason we've been able to grow 70, 80, 90% a year, is because we see an opportunity and sometimes we make it a reality in 24 or 48 hours that quickly. There's no 8-month process. If something takes more than 3 weeks, that's a long time in our shop between idea and reality. At this point, I'm open for questions. Any questions about what we've done or how we do it?
You mentioned that you reward ideas on the spot, for example.
For example, I actually have a stack of $100 Amex gift certificates for $100, just like cash. And the point is, if someone comes up with a new idea, and it doesn't have to be some great idea, it's just, let's ask the clients this, or let's add this when we're taking their information. These are quite often very small ideas, but the point is if you give them the $100 gift certificate and you do it in front of their peers, everyone likes to, it's not even the $100. It's the fact that the CEO or the number 2 person also has a stack of these things around here, and we give them out because the point is if you get rewards, not only the $100 but the pat on the back in front of your comrades, they're more likely to offer up ideas. Now, once again, not every idea gets it, because sometimes ideas aren't good, but the point is you always encourage more ideas, and the good ideas, you go and you give it out and you make sure people know.
You're growing at such a fast rate. I'm wondering, what has been the biggest challenge for you as a business owner, particularly as you find yourself sinking into, gosh, we need more structure or anything like that? I'm wondering, what is your biggest?
Bandwidth actually is my biggest. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I apologize. What is my biggest challenge as an owner with growing this fast? I apologize. Basically, I think it's bandwidth. Is when you're growing this fast, and I've grown in other companies at 20 or 30 or 50% a year. People don't realize that growing at 80 or 90% a year is an incredible stretch of time. You can't keep up. You can't hire fast enough. No matter how much time you spend hiring, you're not hiring fast enough. Perfect example is I just yesterday, I had 6 investment bankers come to talk to us, and thinking about going public and all that stuff. And theoretically, what I really should have done is had my senior management team there to meet them, and they would get to know each other. My point is, no. I want my senior management team working. I want them making new products. I want them, doing stuff. So literally, and it wasn't the right thing to do, but the point is if you're the entrepreneur, you have to make the tough decisions. I sat alone with 6 investment bankers and did the entire discussion. So my point is I didn't want to take my senior management team away from what they were doing. So the point is being protective of people's times, especially senior management, is I think the toughest thing.
We're at a stage where we're getting some suitors for our company. We're at a stage where there's some interest from the outside. I'm wondering from your perspective, if you have that, potential buyers, and then how do you balance that? What's your thinking when those opportunities come? And at what point do you kind of say, well, okay, maybe it's time to start looking?
The question is there are firms that, getting potential suitors, potential buyers. Now I've done 4 rounds of venture capital, so I have sort of 5 sort of semi-buyers already, and if you go to the board meetings, they certainly think they run the company. That's where the stress comes. I still think I run the company, and they think they run the company. So, but from that perspective, I think one advice is, first of all, you have to think about who you're bringing on board and what they're going to do, because those really are important decisions. How is life going to change? When you give up control, let's say in my case to venture capitalists who now own more than 50% of the company, it really does slow down growth, and you can't move as quickly, because once you're entrepreneurial and your management team wants to do something, you can do it in a day. The bigger picture, if it's a big enough thing, you're going to have to run to your board. They're going to run back to their people, and it takes weeks and weeks and months. So for me, that's been one of the most frustrating things. But as any entrepreneur, you want to liquefy your holdings. So the flip side of that is while things are good, you do want to take some money off the table. So I guess the suggestion I have is you really have to be careful about selling the whole thing out, but sometimes the best thing to do is sell a piece out. You liquefy your holdings, it reduces your stress level, but you also have to determine how much control you give your investors. And my suggestion is give them as little as possible. Any other questions?
You had said that you had vacillated in the beginning from going to your market, sophisticated traders, to the mass market. What was the decision that made you go to the mass market, and how long before your break-even point?
Well, we were actually break-even by that time we got it. It was really this URL Forex, because people, when they talk about speculating currency, they call it trading Forex. So it was available to be bought. It shows you how unsophisticated the industry was. We were able to buy it at I think, now it looked like a dirt cheap price, but even at the time was a very reasonable price. And the thing is from our perspective, it was sort of like getting the URL cars.com. If you had a company that somehow had something to do with automotive products, and you get the URL cars.com, everyone's going to understand cars, or cars.com. So the thing is, when we got that URL, we said, you know what? This is the time to go all the way downstream, go down as far as you can go, and really spend some money and go mass market. And Samantha Rodi, who's our head of marketing back there, and the one who was, by the way, went over the speech with me at 10 o'clock at night last night for the first time, is the one who really pressed the metal, to the floor and spent the money to go mass market. And it really was very revolutionary for us, because we went after the very few, very sophisticated clients to mass market. But at the time, you really had to make a tough decision. But the way we did it was literally separate the 2 brands, the Forex.com brand and the game brand. One was about education and these little contracts, and one was about sophisticated. And we're the only firm in our industry that did that. That really, So what we did is we mitigated our risk by doing another brand, but we got a URL that was so ubiquitous that it would be very helpful in that endeavor. And that's what made that decision. They're pretty much all here. I mean, the interesting thing is a perfect example is Samantha, who I mentioned, was the first employee, and she came from my previous job, the one where I was the number 2 executive, and she came even before we got funded. So basically, she came and didn't get a paycheck for 3 months. So that shows you that she also is a risk taker. And the senior management team that's there today is really Samantha, the COO of my old company, is the COO of this company as well, and the number 2 person really is the bulk of the management team. We've added a CFO about a year ago, so he's sort of the only new one, but really those 4 same people that were around 7 years ago are still there today. And what you have to have is the passion. You have to, choosing your senior management team is the most critical thing you can do. You have to know what you're good at, and then what you got to do is give it the rest to other people who are better at it than you are. And you have to give them, the flexibility, and you have to get the right people. You have to get people with passion, and you have to give them enough equity so that if this thing works out, there's rewards at the end of the rainbow. So none of my team is here for the cash compensation, but they are here for, if this thing works out, and it looks like it is working out at this point, that the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow will be big enough to do that kind of work. I mean, perfect example is the fact that Sam was here at 10 o'clock last night, working with me on this speech, isn't unusual, isn't overly unusual. The point is that's the kind of commitment and conviction that you have to get from your team to have this kind of success.
Question, I think we're all innovators and risk takers here. And what advice would you have for us if we wanted to incorporate currency trading in our portfolios to dramatically increase our return?
That's harder than it looks. That trading currencies, just like any new financial product, is tougher than it looks. Now that said, we had a client literally started with $22,000 and a year later had $4.5 million in his account. Now that said, I got a lot more clients that start with 1,000 and have zero now. So the point is it's tougher than it looks, but in any endeavor, it's all about work and study and trying to be the best at it. And the thing is if you study hard enough and you learn and you're willing to learn, my feeling is you can be successful with just about anything. The problems that we see with a lot of our client base is that they do it and they're not trying to learn. They're just they're doing it on a whim. As a matter of fact, we're writing the book right now, Forex currency trading for dummies. So that's something that we'll be giving out to every person who signs up, and it's coming out in 3 months from now. But the point is there we give you all the tips and type of things. Last question.
Question mark is one facet of entrepreneurship is that you build value, and you sell or you move out and move on to something else. So do you see that in your horizon that you build a lot of value, obviously. So there will be an opportunity for you to sell and move on to something, to the new thing that your creative mind is thinking on.
No, I think that will happen with me. For me, this 7.5 years is the longest I've ever been anywhere. You can probably tell, a typical ADD kind of guy. I usually spent 3 years at a place was a long time on Wall Street, and thank God I was a trader on Wall Street because I'd be talking to 17 different guys and have different looking at 6 screens at once. But the point is yes, I think in a matter of years and only a few years that at some point will probably be bought. And I'll probably be moving on to my next thing because if you have the entrepreneurial blood in you, you want to do it again. You absolutely want to do it again. The question is, what is it going to be next time? I'm not sure what that is going to be, but I'm sure it'll be a fun ride, and I'm sure I'm already thinking about who I'll take along for that ride. So once again, afterwards, if you want to come by, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Mark.